Hello, everyone. It's me, Monica P. Hall, aka Conduit of Healing, and it is time for our weekly messages for the collective. This week's message is going to be about fixing what is broken. But before we get started, please make sure that you are hitting the like button on this video. And if you are enjoying this video and previous videos, which I do encourage you to view, please subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified every time I post a new video, because I do think they're helpful. I mean, they're helping me out, and I'm assuming they're helping out a few of you guys up there because you have been generous enough to comment about it. All right, so let's get into it. Happiness and wholeness are inextricably linked. To experience happiness at its depths, you must be familiar with, committed to, and an advocate of your core being. This requires you to consciously seek out what's broken, what's ajar, what's missing. Happiness is an inside job. Therefore, in order to truly be happy, you must be happy with your true self. Okay, I think that's a really interesting point, right? What does it mean to be happy with your true self? Okay, so I feel like there's this expectation, and I don't know who started the rumor of this expectation, but there's this expectation that at some point in life, we're supposed to have it all figured out, that we are supposed to be living these ideals of what life is supposed to be, and that there's not supposed to be any sort of internal adversity, internal trauma, any problems whatsoever. Or that if you actually do have these experiences and these feelings, that you should not be sharing them and telling the truth about them with the world at large. You should be ignoring them. You should be glossing over them. You should be dismissing them. And then on top of that, people want to talk about things like happiness, right? How are you happy walking around carrying trauma, carrying hurt, carrying wounds, carrying self-hatred, self-loathing, not working through your issues, not even knowing who you are? It's impossible for us to truly be happy if our internal life is a hot mess or is torture, or there is a lack of truth in how we deal with ourselves, and then how we see ourselves, and then how we see the world, and then how we see ourselves in the world. These things cannot be compartmentalized, and I feel like a lot of times people do try to compartmentalize their issues. So, when I'm working with my clients a lot, especially in light worker mentoring, right? Or in psychic readings, one of the things that I require is for you to be able to tell the truth to yourself, tell the truth to me, and being able to tell the truth to you. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point? I'm definitely not going to be one of those psychics or one of those assistants or spiritual advisors or intuitive advisors who's more concerned with not upsetting you than I am with helping you. So, this is a place where the truth is paramount, and only by owning the truth, addressing the truth, living the truth, and dealing with it accordingly, can I help you move towards happiness? Can I, help you, empower you, assist you to pursue your own life of happiness, right? So there is no happiness while you're broken, because we're not meant to be broken. I know that a lot of people at some point in time maybe throw in the towel, give up. They don't actually want to be better. It's too hard. It's the unlearning and the relearning, the retraining, the brain how to think, retraining yourself how to react to things. And I guess it's a lot easier to blame things outside of yourself for the unhealed damage within. And that's fine if you want to choose that, but just don't say you want to be happy, because you don't. You're not going to be happy. You're going to constantly be at war with yourself. Also, how can you have a happy relationship with someone else while you have a miserable relationship with yourself? again, these things are impossible, right? So I want to really get into this idea of fixing what's broken. I remember being a kid, and I talk about this a lot with my clients, that initial kind of childhood trauma, right? And not every trauma is like a big, like, oh my God, I'm never going to be the same kind of trauma, like, loss of a parent or yourself in some kind of way. Sometimes the trauma just begins with how you're taught to communicate in the family, not getting enough affection. No one hugged you enough. No one told you that they loved you enough. No one acknowledged your talents, your uniqueness, your beauty, your intelligence as a child. And so you just kind of never celebrated yourself. You were never taught to celebrate yourself. You were never taught to think highly of yourself. And perhaps not only that, perhaps you were actually taught the complete opposite, that you should constantly be self-admonishing, that you should be constantly talking down to yourself, that you basically were taught to be self-abusive, right? And so what happens when the first person is nice to you, right? Whether it be romantically, whether it be a teacher, whether it be a coworker or friend, somebody says something about you that is truly nice and truly kind. And because you were taught, right, not to ever take a compliment, here you are an adult and you don't know how to take a compliment. Rather than saying, thank you, you may say something like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Oh, I didn't work that hard on it. Oh, like you can't take a compliment because at a very young age, something in you was broken, miseducated, to find compliments or any acknowledgement of self in a positive way to be wrong or something that you should feel bad about. And that's just like a really small thing, but think about how many people really can't take compliments. I'm one of those people that if I give you a compliment and if you say anything other than thank you, I'm just going to wait for you to go and tell me how it wasn't that big of a deal. And then I'm going to look at you and go, just say thank you. And I've seen how uncomfortable it makes a lot of you just for somebody to go, I just gave you a compliment. A compliment is a gift. If no one's told you this, a compliment is a gift of somebody saying, I see you. I see your contributions to the world, and I want to acknowledge your contributions to the world, and I want to thank you for positively contributing to the world and to me. That was a great job. I don't know why, some of you just want to squirm. Listen, I don't care if you squirm. If I'm complimenting you, just say thank you. You can, yeah, like they're not mutually exclusive. You can squirm and say thank you. You can be uncomfortable and say thank you, but recognize you're being given a gift, right? That's one thing. Another thing, not enough affection. When you talk about childhood development, right? There is a huge difference between children who were held, who were embraced, who were loved, and those who weren't, and then they become adults who have problems with affection, not being able to be hugged, not being able to be kissed, not being able to be caressed, not being able to be held. What happens when we're children and we're not shown affection? We have an emotional disconnect from ourselves and from others, right? We become a lot more defensive, and so that when we grow and we become these adults who are not affectionate, like this is one of the ways that we demonstrate love. Can you imagine trying to be in a relationship with somebody who says, I love you, but they never hug you, they don't hold your hand, they don't kiss you, they don't caress in any way, shape, or form? And I'm not even talking about like a romantic partner per se. What about your friends? Like, you don't hug your friends? You don't kiss them on the cheek? there's a lot of reasons why people don't want to be touched, and in those particular situations, which is not what I'm talking about. Maybe there was some sort of sexual trauma, but if you grew up in a family where there was no affection, you need to understand there is probably at the root cause of that some sort of trauma for the parent who doesn't believe in hugging their child or kissing their child or making them feel safe or wanted in that way. Because then, as this child becomes an adult, they are almost handicapped in that they don't know how to connect with people in a physical sense. Yeah, I've seen it. And again, all of these things are demonstrative of happiness, right? So being able to appreciate yourself, so aka self-love, self-appreciation, finding a sense of pride within yourself, validating your gifts that are absolutely yours. These are the pieces and the parts of happiness, right? Being able to be demonstrative about your love, being able to hug somebody, being able to express yourself in that way. Yeah, happiness. These are all the little kind of demonstrations, little pieces of how we, describe happiness. People who don't have a sense of humor, everything is so serious. Again, perhaps there was no laughter in your home as a child. Perhaps there was no joy in your home as a child. So here's the thing: when we have these foundations of unhappiness, it breaks us. It breaks us. We are being, broken in these tiny, small ways that at the time, I guess it seems like it doesn't matter, but then you find yourself being the adult who realizes, like, I can't hug people. I can't say I love you. I can't be loved. I'm not lovable. I cannot acknowledge all the work that I need to kind of undo and then redo to make myself whole so that I can truly be happy. And when we find relationships in life and we run into people in life that make us evaluate ourselves, and they try to love us and they try to be there for us and they try to support us, the first knee-jerk reaction most people have is to get defensive, right? I may know I'm broken, but I'm going to stay that way because at least I know that I'm safe and secure in what I know, which is being broken. But again, if you're taking that stance where you're not going to address, fix, heal, mend what's broken inside of you so that you can be a happy person as an individual, so that you can be happy as yourself, so that you can be happy living your life, expressing yourself and expressing the truth of who you are at your very core, there's no point in engaging with the rest of us, because no one outside of you is going to make you happy. Happiness is an inside job. Also, if you're not going to address what's broken, healing is impossible. Right? It's sort of like having this moment where you look and say, like, your finger is bleeding. Your finger is bleeding. And maybe it's a gash, or maybe it's just like a scratch. But either way, your finger is bleeding. What's going to happen to the rest of you if you never address the cut? Right? Many things, and none of them good. You could bleed out. Okay, so you bleed out. That means you're probably going to die. You can get an infection. That means your whole body's going to get sick. You could just constantly bleed, never clot, and you're going to get blood everywhere. And eventually it will weaken you. So any part of you that's broken, that's not addressed, is going to eventually affect the whole of who you are. And that's what people don't get. You have to consciously start addressing the cut, the break, the trauma, whatever is wrong. not for someone else, but for yourself. For example, I fully believe everyone deserves to be healed. I fully believe we all deserve happiness. And when I say that, it's not like somebody's keeping you from being happy. If you're a child, that may be one thing. If you're in a situation that you can't readily get yourself out of, that may be one thing. But it is the ultimate dream for all of us to experience as much happiness in a lifetime as we possibly can. But it doesn't miraculously come to you. You have to actually search it out, seek it out, work for it, and work through all the parts of you that are basically crying out for your attention, that you will address it. Just like I was talking about this bleeding finger. If I'm watching myself bleed, I'm experiencing the pain of bleeding, right? I'm experiencing the blood getting everywhere. I'm experiencing my body getting depleted of energy because, hello, blood is escaped. And this is what we do in real life. A lot of people are carrying around so much pain, and it's weakening their entire life experience. And yet somehow think this is something we can ignore, we can outrun, we can dismiss, we can gloss over, we can deny, and the reward is happiness. What? I'm saying it out loud. I want to say this out loud so I can help people understand how illogical we are when we have to deal with uncomfortable truths. No matter what happened to you in your past, if you are of sound mind and body right now, it is your responsibility to fix it so that you have a shot at true happiness, right? Another thing I've seen, right? People who have the things, the stuff. So, you went to a great college, you're making good money, you have, great materialistic things, and maybe you even have an idealized partner. When I say idealized, it's different than ideal. Your ideal partner is somebody who brings out the absolute best in you and helps you raise your own personal vibration. If you're just with somebody or doing something because it looks right, but it doesn't feel right, you're not going to tell me that you're happy. The other thing about happiness is happiness has its own frequency. When you are, and I know you've all seen it, when you are dealing with a person who's truly happy, they are so bright in energy. They are so magnetic. They are so, generous with laughter, generous with compliments, generous with love. They just want to spread the happiness around. When you're dealing with somebody who literally just wants to tick off the boxes of what happiness is supposed to look like. Yes, I got the things. I got the spouse. I got the money. I got the house. I got the car. I got the jewelry. I can travel, like, and yet you look at them and it's still like their energy levels like flatlining. They're not happy. And this is why we know money can't buy you happiness. You could be an absolute, millionaire and still hate yourself. We've all seen it before, right? You can have all the things and still not be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. I've done the mirror exercise. I've prescribed it to other people. If you can't look at yourself in the eye in a mirror, you got a lot of work to do. You're not happy with yourself, for whatever reason. So the only way for you to truly be happy is to dig into all the parts of yourself that you don't want to see, that you don't want to deal with, that maybe you hate, maybe you loathe, maybe you're, not a fan of. But the truth of the matter is it's still you. So whether or not you like yourself, you're still kind of stuck with you. It would behoove you to try to make the most of embodiment. It can be long or short depending on the perspective of the day. And I think we all feel that. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, life is so long. And then other times like, wow, wasn't I just a teenager yesterday? Um, but if you do not go into the core of yourself, look around, and that's hard, right? That can be very, very hard. If you're a person who's like kind of, you predisposed to self-loathing, it is very hard to look at yourself and not find something to criticize, especially if that was kind of like the language that you were taught as a child. Like everything is susceptible to criticism. Nothing's ever going to be right. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. Nothing's ever going to be right. I mean, like I personally can't imagine how anyone could live like that and enjoy it. Or even think about something as lofty as like happiness or joy or love. And I don't think they really do. I think they kind of just tread water in life and just go, you know, it's not as bad as it could be. It's like, but it's not great either. Saying something is okay or it's not that bad is not the same as saying this is great, this is good, I love this. Yeah, no. Not to mention, they kind of are a drain on energy, people who are like that. There's no reason for us to ever give up healing or trying to heal ourselves. You will never be too old. It will never be too late. You might have longer excuses, more excuses. You might have no courage. You might be a coward. You might be lazy as fuck. But there's never a time in your life where it's too late to fix what's been broken in you. So if you're one of those people that have tried to use that excuse, I'm calling bullshit on you right now. As soon as you say it's too late, just say, I don't want to be happy. Because that's what you really mean. I enjoy being miserable. I enjoy being, self-loathing, hating myself, being depressed, never expecting joy. I don't expect joy, so therefore there will be no joy. I don't expect happiness. I don't dream that big anymore, if ever. So yeah, I'm not going to do that. I mean, just say that. And of course, if you realize that you don't have as many friends or loved ones around you or people want to be around you, well, hello, kind of self-serving. But yeah, your happiness depends on your willingness to address and fix what's been broken within you. Okay? So I just wanted to say that. I also wanted to call you out and let you know it's never too late. There's not enough excuses and there's no reason. Happiness is waiting for all of us to create it within ourselves. But you gotta go through the part where you look at all the ugly, you acknowledge all the ugly, you consciously choose to heal the ugly, you consciously choose to retrain yourself to have positive habits and reinforce those positive habits. And then from that effort comes happiness. There's no shortcut. Okay, so that's all I have for you this week. Thank you again so much for listening in once more. If you enjoyed this message, hit the like button. And if you're enjoying this channel, and there are so many messages, I mean, it's getting really good. I'm getting really, really excited about what's to come. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel and share, tell your friends, and don't forget to comment. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great week. Mwah! Namaste.